We all play our best when we play to our strengths. Whenever I'm putting together lightning fast alternate picking licks, I employ 3 different strategies for maximum speed. And on today's lesson, I'm going to show you what they are, as well as this hot lick that uses all 3. Well, hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. When it comes to alternate picking phrases at really high speeds, there's just some things that are easier to do than others. On today's video, I'm going to show you guys 3 of the most important strategies that I use to play things that are not really as difficult as they sound. Implement these tips into your own playing and I guarantee you're going to start playing stuff faster than you ever have before. As always, this video is brought to you guys by everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Sign up today, even for just $1 a month. I'm going to be giving you guys a whole bunch of backing tracks, bonus lessons, downloadable tabs, and more. This week, everybody who supports my channel is going to get access to some really handy practice tracks I made to go along with that lick, as well as the MIDI files. That way you can build your own perfect practice session. So don't delay. Sign up today. If you're going to play fast as fuck, you should play a guitar that's fast as fuck, like this Jackson SL3 Soloist that I just got right here. It's one of those new American-made ones, and it is amazing. Playing that today into the Fractal Audio Axe FX 3. Yeah, let's hear that hot, strategy-laden lick one more time at stepdad speed. Okay, so this lick is based around the A minor scale. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, in all different positions across the neck. I'm going to be showing you guys the 3 essential alternate picking shred strategies as I take you through the lick. So follow along and get this thing under your mitts if you want to become a better shredder. Concept number 1 is easy to understand. The more notes per string, the merrier. The most difficult thing about alternate picking is changing strings at really high tempos, especially going back and forth between strings. I guarantee you that if you try to strategize your licks by putting as many notes per string as you can, you're going to start playing a lot faster. The first phrase that we play is a 4-note lick that goes like this: A, B, C, A. So we took a total of 4 notes on that string, but whenever we go to the B string, we're going to play this. So that's just walking down G, F, E, then walking back up, F, G, then walk back up all 3 notes, E, F, G. So walk down, up, up. That gave us a total of 8 notes on that string. So we're taking a little vacation and sitting on that string for a while. But we're not done with that B string yet. Move up a position here so you're on the F note. We're going to be using the notes F, G, and A right here. And play it like you played the 4-note grouping on the high E string. F, G, A, F. Okay? Let me do that again. So our 8-note phrase, combined with our 4-note phrase, gave us a total of a dirty dozen notes on that string. So we've just been hanging out on that B string here for a while, not worrying about any kind of string changes. This is always going to be easier to do than anything where you're rapidly changing between strings. Compare that kind of lick with the, like let's say the dreaded descending 4s pattern that you've probably learned before. That has all those rapid string changes going back and forth like crazy. I guarantee you this is a million times easier. So where we left off here was with the 4-note phrase on the B string. That concludes in this 8-note phrase on the G string. So far you should have this. And it's at this point I'd like to introduce you guys to concept number 2, which is even numbers of notes per string only. Okay, I'm talking about 2s, 4s, 6s, 8s, 12s. You've already seen us use 4, 8, a 12-note phrase per string. These are always going to be easier to play than something where you're going back and forth between odd numbers of notes and even numbers of notes per string, for reasons that we'll get into in section number 3. So this is something that I picked up from Troy Grady's amazing Cracking the Code series here on YouTube. Recommend watching all of that stuff. But one thing that Troy pointed out is that a lot of times as guitar players, whenever we use 3-note per string scale patterns, as we frequently do, we tend to play the same notes on the way up as we do on the way down. Like this, for example. We had A, B, C to start with, right? If you put those 3 notes down in front of most players, they'd play it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an odd number of notes. And that starts to get tricky at high tempos. Again, more on that in just a second. So something that Troy kind of got me in the habit of doing is seeing an odd number of notes, 1, 2, 3, and turning it into an even number of notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. You saw the same thing right here on the B string, right? There's 3 notes. Could have played up and down and ended up with an odd number of notes, but we didn't. We played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We turned an odd number of notes into an even number of notes. Same here. And we're going to continue that as we go to the next part of the lick here, which is D, E, F, then D. That's our 4-note phrase. Then the 8-note phrase here on the D string. It's the same fingering pattern for you. Then whenever you shift up to the next position here, we're going to play B, C, D, B, then the 8-note phrase on the A string. So far, we should have this. So, spending a lot of time on each string, only playing even numbers. Now, the even numbers thing is really important because it makes this guy's job a whole lot easier. Whenever you just play even numbers, watch what happens with the string changes. Down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up. We're only changing strings off of upstrokes. Whenever we group notes together in even numbers, you're always going to be changing strings off of an upstroke. See, again, what makes stuff like this so much more difficult than the lick I'm showing you guys today is that the pick has to work so hard and do so many different kinds of string changes. There's an inside off of a downstroke. There's an outside off of an upstroke. Here's an inside off of a downstroke. It's a lot. The pick has to dart in and out of the strings in all different directions. Whereas if we take that same kind of idea and make it so it's nothing but even numbers, it means we're only going to be changing strings off of upstrokes. There are all these wonderful outside string changes that are really easy for me as a player to navigate. Up, 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 up. They're just easier to do. And again, that's for me as a player. Some players have an easier time changing strings off of downstroke. If you're a more upwards, up-slanted kind of picker like that. I'm a downward pick slanting player, always kind of have been. So I learned that whenever I change strings off of upstrokes, that's kind of my power move. And by playing even numbered phrases, like sixes, it ensures that I'm always changing strings off of that upstroke, which is comfortable for me. Again, that's another lick that I use all the time that is everything I'm telling you. Even numbers of notes per string. It's taking 3 notes and turning it into 6. Or 12. Big even numbers means I'm only changing strings off of upstrokes, playing to my strengths. Now when I say play to your strengths, I'm going to put out a disclaimer right here. I'm not saying ignore your weaknesses. I'm still working on my weaknesses, on being able to change strings any which direction that I want to, at any speed that I want to. But it's important to know what works for you as a player, especially if it's the heat of battle and you find yourself on stage, you need to rip, you need to audition and get that gig, whatever it is. If you're playing something that requires you to do something with extreme precision, it's good to know what works best for you. It's been a ton of trial and error for me to figure out what works best for me, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Find out what works well for you and really cultivate that and lean into it. But also at the same time, use that as a way to hold a magnifying glass up to what you suck at and still work a lot on that stuff too. It's just good to know what works well for you. Hopefully that gives you guys a good angle to look at those upstroke changes that I'm talking about. I do that all the time with my playing. If I'm going to be doing something really fast, I try to make all the string changes happen after upstrokes. So let's catch up with where we are in this lick and finish it out. Shifting up. Shifting up. Shifting. And then lastly, we're going to use that same fingering shape we just did and go up a whole step here on the A string. So we got the notes G, A, B, our 4-note phrase. And then down here on the low E string, we're going to finish that with F, E, and D to play that 8-note phrase. And resolve on E. And that is the entire lick using all 3 of these powerful shredding alternate picking strategies. Let's do that just a couple more times here before we jet. Thank you guys so much for watching and learning my 3 most important shred strategies for alternate picking. Be sure to tag me on Instagram with any hot licks you come up with using this stuff. My handle on there is @BenEllerGuitars. And be sure to get the most out of this lesson by getting those practice tracks that I'm putting up on my Patreon page. Those are going to help you get this thing up to speed in no time, and you can use those MIDI files to make your own perfect practice session and slowly increase the tempo until you're playing blazing fast. And also be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. Well guys, it's been fun as always, but now it's time to get away from the computer and go play some guitar. Less clicking, more picking.